to cause the situation, but then also what are some triggers that are indicating maybe something that I'm holding on to. But a big theme that always comes up in what he talks about, and a lot of other people that I've talked to talk about, is this concept of self-love. And there were a few things that really stuck out for me personally that I've been thinking about. And the first was, he has this really effective method, and I'm happy to do it with anybody, at some point, maybe even today, but he has this really effective method to identify our own people's values, right? So, like, let's say you're in a sales conversation, you're selling cars, you're selling a fitness program, or just chatting with some friends. People kind of convey what's important to them through their words, obviously. And when we pay attention, when we really listen into what people are saying, like, people will often share some of the values that they have. So, somebody talks about like a goal they have, and they talk about, like, I know some of the people in here fly, and if somebody's describing their experience flying, and they talk about freedom, and they use the word freedom a lot, like, clearly one of their highest values is freedom. And somebody's talking about, like, they got a new car, or started a new job, got a promotion, something like that, or have a new partner. They talk about how they look, they're obviously, like, how they are showcased, or how they, like, significance is probably more similar to their value. But so he has this method for helping us directly identify our values, which is to say, like, if I were to wave a magic wand, you were to have everything that you ever wanted in life, how would that make you feel? And then you go from there, like, how would that make you feel? People usually respond is like, oh, I'd feel excited, I'd feel happy, I'd feel, joy, I'd feel connection, significance, right? And you just, the goal with that exercise is just kind of get people to, like, ask rapid fire questions, get people answering almost without thinking, to kind of have more of the subconscious. And you keep going until you start to notice certain patterns and repeated words coming up. And then from there, you can tease out values. So, my 3 that came up were, and actually for everybody, their ultimate value is love. Like, that's always the top. But for me, it was love. Through the exercise, it was love, significance, and joy. And these values are critical because they drive everything that we do in life. And so understanding what our values are is critical to see, like, why we might not be achieving what we want to achieve, and why we might prioritize other things. And it was really eye-opening for me personally to recognize that love was my top, because I would see myself in certain situations, whether it's in a business partnership, something like that. And, obviously love in different contexts can mean different things, but on a very basic level for me personally, it's like respect, dealing with each other with integrity, and respect in, dealing with each other honestly, and, giving solid feedback for each other's growth, wanting to see each other succeed. So for me, when I don't feel that love in a partnership, like, there's been some partnerships I was in that was, kind of messed up, and I noticed that I would pull back, emotionally and effort-wise, before I could really name what was going on, when I would notice that love wasn't there. And so, recognizing our own values is very, very critical, because then we have the opportunity to connect having those goals with those values, to, paint that image in my own mind and understand that reality, that I'm actually going to get more, because we all come up with stories based on previous experiences in life where, like, oh, I'm going to get less love if I make more money, right? But the reality is, like, more self-love and more kind of love from people who you really care about, real love in your life, because it kind of weeds out fake people. So, but I say that because I, came up with the value of love, and I chat with Marcel, and I'm like, bro, I don't get this, because my top value is love, and I feel that I often push people away. And he was very direct with me, because I've been going to his seminars a while. I know him pretty well, know his team very, very well. And he was like, bro, you're not pushing away people that you love, because you spend time with your parents, you spend time with close friends, you come here to the seminar, places that you get real love. And he's like, you're just pushing away people that are not reciprocating, or that don't deserve the love. They're not, they might have wronged you in some way. And it was really eye-opening for me to see that there's nothing wrong with me. It was just I was looking for it in the wrong place. And this comes then back to the concept of self-love. And the other thing that he said that really stuck out to me was, that all of us, one of our top goals in life should always be to love ourselves so much that no matter what anybody does, it does not affect our self-image or our own even state, our emotions, this and that. And that was really powerful for me, because I noticed, like, sometimes if something comes up in, let's say, a relationship, a business partnership, something like that, where somebody does something, either I'm surprised, I feel betrayed, whatever, I let it affect me. I let it affect me because that love that I'm looking for is external rather than internal. And so, and I've been thinking about this love, about this concept so much more, about how critical it is to have internally driven self-love, because once it's cultivated from inside, there's nothing that could stop us. And I was going to make a connection when I was talking about values, but I lost it. I should have taken a note. But so that I've been thinking about, like, this concept about self-love and analyzing, like, how it shows up in my life, and, like, and this is a concept that I've been playing with a lot in my life. Like, for whatever reason, I grew up. I think we all have our own personal challenges. For me, it was, to be very honest, very frank, lower self-esteem, not really believing in myself and my capabilities, and how that would show up in relationships, things like that, is that I would often run into, like, business partnerships or relationships almost, chasing kind of validation from other people. And it puts you in a very kind of fucked up situation if people know how to take advantage of that, because very quickly, very easily, somebody can, dangle a carrot in front of you. And obviously the best way out of that is through just pure self-love. But, I was thinking about, like, I'll dig more into the challenges and some of the pains that come from lower self-esteem and self-love, or externally generated self-love, or love, I should say. And then touch on some benefits, and then get into, like, how to, as far as I understand, how to grow self-love. So in terms of some of the challenges, like, there's the one, like, you kind of leave yourself up to be manipulated by other people, but probably one of the biggest things is having a lower standard for the people in our lives, right? Because when there's lower self-love, we tend to, you think, like, I know Molly, I think it was Molly who loves talking about hot chicks, but, let's say you're earlier in your dating career, you're not used to kind of being out with a cute girl, and maybe it's your first time out with a baddie or something, and you might put up with a little bit of bullshit because, she's fine as hell, sex is good, right? She's good at fucking with your head a little bit, which is, not fun, but also fucking, almost addictively fun. But, like, a lower or externally validated self-love or lower self-concept is going to keep us in those kinds of cycles a lot fucking longer. And, like, this shit can be some of the most damaging shit ever. And because, when we think about manifestations, we think about goals, we think about just even getting after it, like going to the gym, shit like that, like, there's some level of self-love that has to be there, some level of kind of expected future benefit, and some level of personal worthiness to even think you're worth going after that goal, right? You're worth kind of putting in that effort. And these kinds of relationships, like, the energy can be so toxic, and it can be so hard to understand. And I'm sure a lot of us have gone through this, where, you're in an abusive relationship, maybe a bad partnership, where somebody might be scamming you behind, or working, with a shit boss who's just, plays favorites and doesn't recognize true merit-based work or performance. And you can find yourself in these situations when there's a lower self-concept, lower self-love, and it's not internally validated. We subject ourselves to a lot of bullshit, which at the end of the day, it only takes away our own energy. And it's crazy when you sit and start to analyze, like, you end up with lower energy, lower mood, in some extreme cases, like, I don't know how deep you guys get into spirituality, but like, you know, I'm a big believer in like people kind of representing more light vibes, things like that. When somebody is very high vibe, when somebody has a lot of energy, and as you level up in life, like, you know, your energy goes up. Like, you become more magnetic, you become more charismatic, more attractive. There's more, like, just value in the vibes being around you, your aura. And when that goes up, like, there are people out there who cannot self-generate that. You become a target for a lot of people. And when there's lower self-esteem alongside, like, a raised aura, and it is possible. I think it's 100% possible to fucking reach. I know this myself. Like, when I was doing the nursing home, like, I got people who built billion-dollar businesses on this team with literally nothing but a sheet of paper and a vision. And I mean, it took a while, a lot of conversations, like, you know, a lot of belief in the future, this and that. And we got into this nursing home, and, you know, we're sitting there, like, it's a, you know, what was it, like an $18 million deal. I'm sitting there running this shit and, you know, managing this board, managing these guys on the ground. And my partner who was on the ground, I fucking love this guy. He was a Roman Catholic dude, like one of the most spiritual people I ever met, but also like a fucking badass, like one of the most dangerous people I ever met, one of the most compassionate, and also like just his energy on a different fucking level. But you could tell that I did not have, like, I was just dealing with whatever trauma I had. I had a best friend who passed away when I was young, and it was a car accident, and I was like taken to, like, I was taken to jail for that. But he could tell there's some shit going on. I didn't have like a strong self-concept, and that fucked with, like, if I had a stronger self-concept, I could have been much stronger with boundaries and enforcing standards within the company. You know, as much as I did not have one, I was still able to navigate that deal successfully for the investors, for the board members, for, you know, the lawyers, the attorneys, and the accountants. But I may have been able to save them, right, rather than just getting us out of it and selling it off, right? I may have been able to, I don't know if I could have or would have, but I do know for a fact 100% I would have done things differently. And because when there's a strong self-concept, it doesn't fucking matter somebody's title, how much money they made, nothing like that. It's like, here's the standard, here's the values, here's the direction that here's the vision that we're fucking going in, and, you know, we all need to be on the same page there. And one other lesson I want to mention that was really impactful for me in that particular deal with that partner that I mentioned, he mentioned to me, he's like, bro, you know, you're the fucking CEO. And as a leader, your job is to create harmony between everybody. Everybody's going to have their bullshit. Everybody at times is going to be at each other's neck. But your job as a leader is to understand the different people and create this harmonization, to harmonize between everybody, to, you know, stay the course and focus on the vision. So, you know, that was a very tangible, very direct way that kind of lowers. And granted, I think I had enough of the self-concept to fucking pull that off in the first place. But there's always, you know, there's levels to this shit. And I say that too because, you know, Marcel gave a very direct example himself, which this is something that I aspire to. I think I allow, you know, just to kind of lead up to the story, I think I personally allow a little bit too much of an open door in terms of who I allow into my life. But, you know, Marcel was very direct about how dangerous bad friends or people with bad intentions or, you know, kind of like a fucked up value system, how dangerous it can be for our lives. Because, you know, as all of us level up, whatever that looks like in our own lives, you get into more and more circles and situations where little things can have extremely lasting effects. And, you know, I think for us in this coin, like we think about Legend, you know, as we hit higher market caps, and it's not to say that the stakes are so high, like, oh, you know, you can't take any moves, but the reality is that the stakes are higher, right? When we're sitting at 500-600 million market cap, like, people are really looking to the leaders in the community to ping and to see, like, you know, how do we assess swings in our market cap? How do we assess, you know, FUD? How do we assess, like, things that are happening in the market on a macro level? And so, you know, so for this story, you know, Marcel had a had a girl who's just a friend. They're kind of he considered her a good friend, and he took her to this party. It was like a very exclusive party. I forgot who he mentioned, like Mike Tyson or something like that. And he was introducing her to his friends, and it was some celebrity status or business person. I forgot who it was, but he's like, "Oh yeah, this is my friend, this that," and the wife or whatever was asking, "Oh, so how long have you guys been dating?" And she could have easily said, "Oh no, I'm not dating Marcel, but he's an amazing guy. I wish I would. I wish I could." Like, she could have built it off in that scenario with his friends, but instead she said, "Ew," she gave a disgusting face. She said, "Ew, dating Marcel? No, she was disgusted by the prospect." And Marcel was good friends with those people, and they, some of the people were already kind of having side conversations, so it wasn't that big of an impact. But he immediately recognized that situation to say that I can't bring her anywhere. And with a high self-concept, high amount of self-love, you see a situation like that, and it's like, okay, I'm just not going to talk to that person anymore. That's it, And part of that self-love is, I think, a kind of goes hand in hand with abundance thinking, right? Because when you're in a scarce mindset, let's say with women, right? You don't think I can get another girl if you're dating somebody or you have a wife, whatever. Obviously, I feel like I'm preaching to the choir here, but if you're coming from a scarce mindset, you're going to put up with a lot more bullshit that you don't deserve, that nobody deserves, frankly, and it is also not good for the partner in that situation too, because boundaries aren't enforced. It's kind of like guiding children in that sense. Children do need strong boundaries. They need to know all of us need to know how to act, how to deal with each other. And versus when you're coming from a more abundance mindset, you don't tolerate. You tolerate a lot less. And if somebody does overstep boundaries, first off, you have boundaries. And a boundary doesn't even have to be clearly defined. It's like something doesn't feel right. It feels disrespected. You can call this shit out. And so a higher self-concept allows people to stand more from a place of abundance and enforce strong boundaries and make sure that people treat with respect, which only raises our own value, right? And abundance or scarcity aside, strong self-love says, whether I have something or not, even if I'm alone, stepping away from this partner, stepping away from this business deal, even if I don't have nothing, I don't have any money, nothing like that, I'm fucking worth it. I'm good on my own. I'm fucking gold. And I think that's where a strong self-concept can be extremely, extremely beneficial. And it's also this kind of shit is so nuanced. I was listening to Naval Ravikant talking about how when he was poor, he was kind of learning how to do things, reading a lot of books, understanding things about businesses. And I forgot what it was, but there was at one point that he thought about how much money he wanted to make and broke it down, per year, per month, per day. And it came down to he wants to earn about $5,000 per working hour. And so having that filter, it gave him a guide for what kinds of things he'd be willing to outsource. And pretty soon, I'm going to outsource cooking, I'm going to outsource cleaning, I'm going to outsource, kind of routine work, taxes, all that kind of shit, chores, things like that. And I think a very similar concept can come in the form of this kind of thinking of self-love. When we really value ourselves, we value who we are, right? We think about the legends that we admire, whether in kind of day-to-day life or some of those legends that are more widely known, Kobe Bryant, MJ, things like that. When we really value ourselves on that level, because all of us are capable of it, I 100% believe that. And I think it's when we adopt that same mindset, that same drive, the same self-respect, that we level up, whatever that looks like for our lives. We get a strong filter, and when there's that strong, healthy self-love, I think we get that strength to choose better on every fucking level, from the way that we allow people to talk to us, to even how we talk about ourselves with other people, the way we talk about ourselves in our own heads, how we deal with setbacks, how we deal with failures, rejections, all that shit. So right there, I'll kind of pause and open it up, just kind of ping the room. How is this so far? Is this kind of is useful for you guys? Anything to kind of touch on more, or anything that's maybe not as useful?
I think it's great. I think everything has been great in terms of it all starts with kind of you. It's an inner kind of belief in yourself, and whether it's belief or whether it's goals or whatever you're searching for. I think you hit it right on the head that it's love. You have to love yourself before you can kind of go. You have to look inward always, and it starts with love. So you have to love yourself before you can kind of pursue any other kind of ambitions or any other project or whatever it may be. So it definitely makes sense. And the more love and respect you have for yourself, the more ambitious you look, and the better your better overall appearance. Everything kind of stems from that. Once you love yourself, everything kind of stems from that. So I couldn't agree with more. I really am enjoying what you're saying.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I appreciate that, Molly. Yeah, wicked. I appreciate that. And I'll just keep it open for like another second if I see anybody unmute. Otherwise, I'll just keep rolling.
What is the sound?
Okay. So to kind of 100% agree, Molly. Like how we show up, like how we appear. What up, Nick? Good to see you. How we show up, how we appear, like coming back to our ambitions, our goals, and also actions. Like it's somebody when somebody has a strong self-concept, strong self-love, like they're going to show up differently for work. They're going to show up differently for business relationships, partnerships, for themselves, in terms of like the food that we eat. And it's not to say like love is going to conquer all and it's like all easy sailing, but to have so much self-love that nothing outside of us can even ping or adjust how we our kind of emotional response or frame for the day. Like that is an insane amount of self-love. Like you could be rejected by everybody, thrown away, ignored, ostracized, this and that, and you got enough self-concept to like walk with your fucking head high, shoulders high. God's got you, and it's like it's a different level of how you show up, and also brings on like you think I don't know how everybody feels about Trump. I personally like a lot of what he does. I'm not also try not to be blind to some of the things that I don't like in terms of policy decisions, things like that. But one thing cannot be denied: the amount that guy loves himself, and it literally, like, there are scientific studies about how much more brain activity there is in the brain in terms of how much more our brain is activated dealing with different situations. From somebody who's depressed, sad, even neutral, versus somebody who's happy, grateful, or feeling that self-love. And it's like when it really starts to step up in different levels, like the world responds differently. Like deals show up, and part of it, I think, the crazy thing, like. Again, I don't know how deep you guys are on spirituality. I'm a big, kind of believer in vibration. Like, there are different vibrational levels. When you think about very spiritual people who had massive impact on the world. And when I say spiritual, I also mean, like, sometimes we mention legends, like even Kobe Bryant I would consider spiritual. MLK I would consider, Trump spiritual, right? Because there's a certain level of vibration that people are able to hold. And like love helps to raise our like. There's something called like a vibrational. I think it's an emotional tone scale where emotions are tracked to different vibrations, and at the lower scale, when somebody is, let's say, going through depression or apathy towards life, like people can't get out of bed, people are dealing with addiction, dealing with trauma, right? Or sadness, or grief. The bottom is like obviously death, which somebody can be very, very close to that vibrationally. And you think about somebody like who's homeless, who is, and there's people go through all kinds. Some people are there because of substance abuse, personal bullshit, distrust by choice, mental health issues. But a lot of times if somebody's in that state, let's say not by choice, the vibration, they might not see opportunities because certain opportunities in front of them, even though they could avail them, on a kind of very rational sense, vibrationally, like they're blind to it, right? Because our brains are filtering mechanisms. Like that's the whole kind of purpose of the brain, is that it filters out all of what's in front of us and gives us like a very narrow kind of visual band, auditory band, thought band, and even within that, like our thinking dictates the type of world that we see. And so with that high self-love concept, as our vibration raises, like opportunities that were always there that we didn't know, like everything fucking clicks on, and then obviously more the brain is activated. Like you see people becoming sharper, people are more turned on, more attuned, and able to better respond.
I don't mean to interrupt because it's going to happen. I think the point you made about Trump is just so good. I really wasn't even thinking about it because I have friends that are just like that. People that are so, they think so highly of themselves. They almost seem like arrogant or cocky or conceited or whatever the fact is. And then, but they're the ones that, like, there are ones that you don't want to be around, so those, that might be fake, but there are ones that are just like that, but for whatever reason, I like being around them because I think they actually do believe it. And if they do believe it, they feel so highly of themselves, think so highly of themselves, that transcends onto other people, like you said, with the vibration, the energy. So those people, like Trump, why he has such a huge effect on people, he loves himself, he thinks he's the greatest at everything. I have people in my life that act the same way, and I enjoy being around them. It's very interesting you said that. I never thought about it. And then others that act that way, but I don't know, I don't think they really do believe it. I feel like it's probably just insecurity. You kind of don't want to be around. So very interesting point. I never thought about it.
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that because it really highlights like perceived value and real value. Like somebody who doesn't, like you think about Johnny Depp and what he went through with Amber Heard, like nobody who really loves himself and considers themselves a 10 out of 10 really valuable is going to put themselves through that shit. Now, he has success on a material sense. He's, world-class famous, all these movies, all this money. But, I mean, Amber Heard just fucking, dragged him through all kinds of shit because the real value was not there to match the perceived value. And I think what you mentioned is, like, hits on that. And that's where the self-love, like, cultivating that real self-love engenders that real value where it doesn't matter if I'm wearing flashy fucking clothes or driving a Honda or what. Like, there's that interview with Bezos when he's driving that Honda and he's worth billions. The guy interviewing, he's like, what the fuck do you drive? He's like, dude, it's a car. Like, it takes me where I need. And you could see, like you said, how real his confidence, he just laughed like something that somebody would normally take as a dig. This guy just thinks it's all fucking hilarious. Like, he's like, oh, you guys keep bleeding money, stock market. He's like, oh, the stock market. Yeah, you care about that. Oh, that's funny. Yeah. No, we got a fucking vision here. We're doing some shit. And I think the difference is that where a lot of people with low self-concept overvalue the material and that perceived value and focus so much on faking it, on showing that they're confident, where, like you said, it becomes draining. It becomes, and that's where that vibration kicks in. We can feel it, even though we don't necessarily see it directly. And I 100% believe the way the world is going, the way politics, macroeconomic, everything. I believe personally that the way everything is going is that people, by and large, overall, our vibrations are, as a collective, going up. And I think all of us are becoming more tuned and more sensitive to a lot of this stuff where we might not have been before. And we can, and I think the way, like, one of the real big benefits that doesn't get talked about with AI, I think the fact that AI is so prolific and so kind of out there, it's getting everybody to be more skeptical, which is, people don't believe the bullshit anymore. People don't believe mass media. People don't believe pharmaceutical companies and bullshit. And we're becoming, I think, as a collective, a lot more perceptive. But yeah, bro, thank you for mentioning. I took some notes on that too, so I'm really appreciate you saying that. So we're kind of close to time up, so I get going. I'll just say real quick a few things that I think I found personally beneficial to increase self-love. I think for the first thing is to just, on a very basic level, just continue to say, I love myself. There's been studies about, done with water. These are like Japanese scientists who are experimenting where they took, water, like water-soaked rice, different jars. One of the jars, they said over time, I love you. Other one, neutral. Other one, I hate you. The hate you one, fucking over moldy as fuck. Even the neutral one, moldy as fuck, that was ignored. The one that was lovely was rich, like probiotic, healthy. Like it literally changed the kind of chemical. And they've done other experiments with like songs and also this kind of like I love you with water freezing. And you can see very crystalline structures with like classical music or saying I love you or like kind of these kind of high vibe type songs versus like heavy metal, more chaotic, more disruptive type songs. And or I hate you, like this, it's all twisted and fucked up. And we are 80% water. That 100% affects us. And water actually has been discovered to have, something like 1,000 times the memory capacity than our current, chips. I don't know if that includes quantum computing, but water is like a very, very poorly understood, molecule and kind of concept, but it's amazing. And so you think about that memory capability of water, you think about this love and how much this vibration actually impacts water, and then, how much that impacts us. So on a very basic level, like just repeating, there's some kind of affirmations there, but also gratefulness. Gratitude is one of the most. There was a Harvard study done, and Harvard actually had a class called How to Be Happy or something. It was like one of their most successful classes in their undergrad for years. And the guy who started, I think his name is Sean Acor, but he did a TED Talk too, talking about the happiness advantage. When people are happier versus, neutral or even, prepared for a subject, they perform like at a baseline 50% more effective than when they're not happy. Even if you're like, let's say you're about to go on a test, you're reviewing the material, remembering what you're grateful for will do more for your performance in that test than continuing to study the material. And so, in that sense, and this comes back to the mind being like a focusing machine where we only see what we're paying attention to. When we remember what we're grateful for, it keeps us focused on abundance, keeps us focused on all the amazing things, all the resources that we have, which comes right back to being a legend. It comes right back to entrepreneurship. It's like, true legend is able to use everything at their kind of disposal for the vision, for greatness. And then one of the biggest ones that I think is not talked about enough is self-forgiveness. It takes a person to truly love themselves, to forgive themselves, and to forgive others. And forgiveness is one of the most, like, Owen Cook, he's from Real Social Dynamics. He teaches social dynamics. He's done hundreds of millions in sales. He actually coached Trump's speechwriters in 2016. Like, this guy is fucking on a different level. But one thing he talks about is the spiritual fucking high that you get. He's a sober guy. He's been sober his whole life. But he talks about the spiritual high that you get when you call up an enemy, somebody who's fucked you over, and when they're going through a hard time, and you just kind of offer help. Like the level of forgiveness it takes, it will, and they're so grateful because, obviously when we need help, that's when everybody fucking bounces. But to do that for somebody who's fucked you over, it's like, that's a different level of self-love to be able to do that. But forgiveness and specifically for forgiveness, there's some really good Ho'oponopono, it's called, on YouTube, some amazing Ho'oponopono meditations that are extremely powerful. The first time I did this was with that Roman Catholic guy in the nursing home deal. And the first time I did it, I fucking cried. And it just like, it opens up a different level of self-love. When you forgive yourself for fucking everything, for not taking advantage of opportunities, for, calling yourself back, for being hard on yourself, for putting yourself in situations where you were taken advantage of, abused, or for what you've done to other people, harm that, because the reality is we fuck other people up a lot of times, not even knowing it, right? It's just the way the world is. But those are some of the things that, and probably one of the biggest things is like the winner effect. I think noticing our own wins, and everybody in Legend, the community here is fucking amazing. Everybody talks about the 1% wins. I think that is one of the most powerful ways to practice self-love, is focusing on those 1% wins, to kind of have that self-reinforcing talk every time we get that win, whatever it is however it is we're doing that. Guys, so sorry, I just kept going on, and that was really long, but I would love to hear any just very quick feedback on that.
No, man, I thought that was great. I really, the stuff, everything you talked about even towards the end there, it's all kind of resonating with stuff I've been doing. But since I've joined this group, to be honest with you, since I've joined Legend, all these things, whether it's in breathing or whether it's in sound and vibration, just kind of understanding of why I'm doing what I'm doing, it's all kind of resonating here. And now I find it even more interesting that you come in this group and you start talking about all these things. So now I'm questioning if there's a vibration that this group or this project is bringing to kind of bringing people to it. It's very interesting. So I very much enjoy it.
I 100% believe that, bro, because I like in that vibration. I think it's such a I think undervalued, underestimated. I think it's such an underestimated concept. I 100% believe, because I've learned to be more and more picky with my energy, and as I go through things, as I practice this myself, I'm pinging environments and paying attention to things, and I 100% felt that with Legend and what you have created, what everybody else has created here. I think I 100% believe that with the vibration that it's really is attracting who it needs to attract.
Were you talking about Japanese? Were you talking Japanese vibrations? I don't know if I caught that. What were you saying? Japanese sounds or vibrations? What were you saying?
Yeah, it was a study done by Japanese scientists about studying the effects of words and music on water structure.
Okay, when I used to teach trigonometry, and we used to do the music of sounds, and we would have water on plates or pots or whatever, and then we would vibrate music, and they would just form these crazy patterns, which was nuts. And then recently I just acquired this sound that was developed in Japan, and it's kind of like a meditation sound, and you're supposed to listen to it daily, and I listen to it every day on my drive to work, and it just puts me in this almost trance, and I'm always kind of feeling in a more positive mindset after I listen to it. So this is all very, very interesting.
It is kind of creepy. And at the same time, I think it signals. I personally believe in angel numbers and kind of finding confirmation. I think when things exactly like you said are confirmed, I think it's a huge positive indicator that we're headed in the right direction. But 100%, bro.
Awesome.
That's
awesome.
Yeah.
Vibes, baby, vibes.
yeah, it's just fucking good fucking vibes. Dude, at the end of the day, is the vibe of love, I've got a few minutes. I do have to hop off. Probably I can stay another 5 minutes, but then I gotta go. I gotta run. But and of course, I don't want to keep anybody else, but I want to open it up if anybody wants to kind of chat about a goal that you have and some wins, and also some challenges you might be having, if we can get some feedback on that. And also, one of the things I would like this session to turn into is also iron sharpens iron, legends recognize legends, for us to challenge each other to even go higher and bigger with our goals too. So if anybody wants to I'll throw down, or I can, if nobody wants to, I can throw down too.
Maybe you lead us in the first one.
Sure. Yeah. So one of my goals, very frankly, I want to get to 1.2 million a month earnings. And a step in that direction is a few $100,000 per month. Now, those are fucking crazy goals. I recognize that. And at the same time, like, part of the reason I keep that high goals is, probably from, obviously we got high from the weekend, like this last weekend, but one of the biggest things for me when I was in that nursing home, I had a very, very specific set of visions in my head of like walking through a nursing home, owning all this shit, and like I cannot convey the times that I felt deja vu when I was actually getting into that deal that like fuck, I believed this shit for 2 years, it's coming real, and like I should not have been. I had shit credit score. I had like I was kind of doing some consulting gigs to make money. I wasn't like making a fuck ton of money, and I don't know how the fuck, like it was a little bit crazy how all that shit came together, but. So that's my goal. Tangibly, how I'm doing that, I've got 2 sales gigs that I'm starting off. And the first one is selling a metabolic reset with V-Shred. I'm sure you guys have heard about V-Shred. It's very, very kind of unplugging into an existing system as a closer to close existing coaching programs. Earning potential is kind of in the 5 figures. Some of the top, and obviously, like, there's always the top closer, and then there's everybody else, but I think reasonably I can expect to do low 5 figures. And then obviously and this is where the self-love and the belief in the product and helping people comes in, it's conveying those goals. But I also got tapped into a medical derma patch from a friend of mine. These are wound care patches that doctors use in hospitals, and the earning potential there is 6 figures per month. A lot of their salespeople are doing that. There's 30 people on the team. It's a lot more self-directed. I've chatted with a few people in the industry, so between those two by themselves, I think there's potential to get, maybe 30-40% of my goal. And then the third thing, I'm doing a YouTube and to turn that was one of the other big things I learned this weekend about. I think I mentioned it in some of the notes. It was actually perfect timing that they talked about it, but how to go viral, how to create courses, things like that. And so to create a personal brand that over time, and the biggest thing that I'm looking to tap into there to kind of automate a lot of the processes is AI and different AI tools to help with video editing and making things look professional. And I'm not too worried about the how there, but I'm more focused on taking action, getting shit out there, keeping the vision very focused and very clear in my head.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I think everything you said tonight, I think you're on the right path for sure.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, probably, and to share very, very kind of, I don't know if you guys can get the sense, but to speak very openly, vulnerably. One of my biggest challenges in the past is I would kind of switch from thing to thing a little bit too much. But probably a bigger challenge, and probably one of the reasons that happened was, lower self-concept, lower self-respect, and expectation of success. And so, in different situations, I stepped away for different, like with the, but I say all that because that self-love is some of the things that I was talking about is actually some of the things I personally am looking to hone in to really, see each of these things through their max each of these things out before stepping away or kind of evolving to YouTube. But the other way that I'm kind of handling that challenge is through the YouTube. I've always danced with creating a personal brand throughout my life. Like I did podcasts. I had this thing 10 years ago where I would do daily, Snapchat stories. I did Instagram Reels for a long time, and YouTube is the first time I'm like putting my face to this in a long form format. Which I say that because this is something I could see myself just continuing to, no matter what else I do in my life. It's just always part of the kind of journey, part of the vision. So open to feedback or suggestions or.
I think that's great. I think you just gotta, like you said, you gotta do it every day. I think that's with self-belief and finding people that can help in any way and offer some advice or offer some sort of reflection, and I think it's great.
Cool.
Mick, you got something there, Mick? We can't hear you. Go ahead, Mick. It looks like you're trying to speak. We can't hear you, Mick. Mick, do you hear me?
Here we go. Damn, bro. Wow, bro. Wow. That means so much. I really, really fucking appreciate that. And bro, it's so well said. Like, and it is kind of, I think for me personally, like with a lower self-concept, lower self-love, I pinged, like you said, sometimes you ping the environment, and other people just, I think we project so much, and for some people it can be. Like, I had a friend, he's like, I really don't like thinking big. I just like thinking small. It's just, how I am. And, so yeah, I really fucking appreciate that, bro. Yeah, it's if somebody's done it, it's possible. Yeah, that means so much, bro. Yeah, that's, to me, that's like the ideal of this group. Like, it's just, we see the greatness in ourselves and each other. Yeah. I appreciate that, bro.
Classic Mick. Classic Mick.
Yeah. Says the legend. Yeah. Cheers, boy. Yeah, Mick, Molly, really appreciate the feedback. Like, it's so it's really, really helpful. Talking about this kind of stuff, to hear from you guys, like what's resonating, what's not, the reaction. So yeah, really appreciate your time and your thoughts, energy.
Yeah, of course, man.
appreciate you, bro. Like, I mean, you guys created, you guys cultivated the garden. You guys built it, tended to it, created the, like Molly was saying, the vibration earlier that is, I think, attracting other people. And I can't tell you guys, like, I'm getting fucking more diehard about this because it really is so rare to find a place where you can talk about goals and be supported to kind of, not just to achieve them, but to really to fucking, step above yourself in a lot of ways, and our own, limitations if we have them. But, yeah, I mean, huge shout out to you guys for creating this. I mean, you guys created this. This is just extension of that. So, appreciate that.
Yeah, of course, man. And we just love, the point of it is to find new people like yourself and just keep it going and inspire others to come in and speak their mind, speak their ambition, speak their legendary status or their legendary goals, and then we can all help each other. That's the point. That's the entire point.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can't thank you guys enough. Really appreciate the support, and I'll just I'll keep these rolling every Wednesday. I do gotta hop off and get rolling, but again, really appreciate your guys' time. And
perfect, man. Perfect. Let's keep it rolling. I like the week. I think weekly would be perfect.
Wicked.
I recorded it too, so I'm gonna post. I can send it to you if you want it for your YouTube. I'm gonna put it on our YouTube as well.
Wicked. Okay. Appreciate it.
Great job, man. Great job. Good stuff.
All good, bro. You're a fucking legend. I mean, what would we do without Deep Pizza? Seriously. I'm starting to, see everybody's input, but yeah, appreciate you.
All right, well, then we'll catch everybody next week. Same legend time, same legend channel.
Yo, see you guys then. Later.